Hi and welcome to my vlog. Today I'm going to walk you through the process of making a print on the gel plate with these lovely weeds and marsh grasses from our veggie patch. So I've just gathered a handful of weeds. I like these because of the structure, lots of verticals, and they're not too floppy to print with. So to get started, I've just got my gel plate out, and the first thing I'm going to do is create a background. So I'm just using a little bit of Liquitex paint, some green and some unbleached titanium, just a few blobs on the gel plate. I'm just going to roll that out, let the colours mix, and that will create an interesting background for the first of my prints. So I've got quite a lot of paint on there, but that's okay at this stage. Most of that will come off when I take the first print. And I'm just going to clean my roller on my dump sheet, take off the excess paint. So I'm just using a piece of wet strength tissue. I'm just going to pop that straight on there and give it a couple of minutes to dry, and just peel that off. And just set that to one side to dry. Okay, and now we're ready for our weeds. So I'm just using a bit of black paint. I'm just going to roll that out and cover the plate. I'll try and get it reasonably even across the surface. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'll clean my roller again on my dump sheet. Alright, and now for the weeds. So I'm just going to sort of scatter these across the gel plate, making sure I leave a little bit of space in between. If you put them down in too much of a bunch, they won't print quite so well. So just a scattering. And now I'm going to take my green background print, which is now dry. I'm just going to pop that over the top. Now the weeds feel quite lumpy underneath the tissue, and that's okay. I'm just going to come along now and just press the paper into the surface of the gel plate, just kind of feeling around for the weeds and running my fingers around the plants. So what I'm doing here is trying to lift some of that black paint from the gel plate in between the weeds. So the weeds act as a kind of resist. So make sure there's nice contact there between the paper and the plate. Just give a little rub in between the stems. I'm just going to let that dry a little bit, not too long, and there we go. So that's just the first one, and that's interesting in its own right. It'll be lovely for collage. And now I'm just going to come along with a few little strips of paper to lift some extra paint. And this will give us a nice clean print when we come back to the plate second time round. So anywhere you can see really sort of thick paint, just lift some of that off. Okay, that's pretty good. Now it's time to take the weeds away. And just remove the stems and put them to one side. Okay, I think that's most of them. Alright, so I've let that dry, so that the black paint there has been drying for a few minutes, so it is touch dry. I'm just going to come back over with some unbleached titanium, and because the black paint is dry underneath, it means we can quite happily come over with a lighter colour without disturbing what's underneath. So I'm just going to roll that out nice and evenly. Clean the roller as I go. And then the next thing I'm going to do is actually go back to the plate and lift some of that unbleached titanium off the surface. So we're looking for a really nice thin layer of paint. So we'll just do that by going back with the roller, cleaning the roller, and then going back to the plate, and that just lifts some of that paint away. So this is an important step. If the second layer of paint is too thick, we won't get really good adhesion with the black paint that's underneath. Okay, so that paint is still wet. So I'm going to come back over now with some more wet strength tissue. And this time I'm just carefully laying the paper over the plate and rubbing it with my fingers as I go. And that will stop too many creases forming in the paper. Okay. That looks pretty good. And we're just going to let that dry. So that's probably taken 5 or 6 minutes to dry. And now we're ready to pull the print. So you can see we've got really nice contact because of that thin layer of unbleached titanium. And the print's pulling away really nice and cleanly. And there you have it. A lovely weedy print, perfect for collage in my next painting.